Okay, let me ask you a question. If I say revenge tragedy, what's the first play that pops into your head? It's probably Hamlet, right? Well, what if I told you that the real architect, the guy who invented the whole genre, is someone you've probably never even heard of? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on Thomas Kyd, the unsung hero, or maybe the ghost, of theater history.
Right, we all know Hamlet, the moody prince in black talking to skulls. But his whole story, the grief, the anger, the quest for vengeance, believe it or not, that wasn't the first of its kind to blow the minds of London audiences. Nope. Before Hamlet, there was a guy named Hieronymo. And if you're sitting there going, Hieronymo? Who? Well, you've hit on exactly what we're here to talk about.
So the man behind this mystery character, Hieronymo, was Thomas Kyd. He was writing around the same time as Shakespeare, and with just one absolutely explosive play, he created the blueprint for the entire genre. He didn't just write a cool story, he literally forged the template for revenge that would completely dominate the English stage for years to come. So what even is a revenge tragedy? Well, at its core, it's a story about a hero who's out to get payback for a terrible wrong. But it's so much more than just sword fights and action. It's a deep dive, you know? It explores that razor-thin line between justice and pure madness, and the really brutal cost of taking the law into your own hands.
And Kyd's masterpiece, the play that kicked this all off, was called The Spanish Tragedy. It's about Hieronymo, a Spanish court official whose son is just brutally murdered. And when he realizes the system, the official channels of justice, are totally corrupt and are going to do nothing, he decides to go on his own dark, twisted path to get even. And let me tell you, this play was a smash hit.
So what was it about this play that made it so revolutionary? See, Kyd wasn't just telling a sad story. He was mixing together this powerful formula, a recipe for revenge that was just packed with psychological thrills and incredible theater. So let's break down the secret ingredients he used. Kyd's formula basically boils down to 5 key elements, and they feel incredibly modern. You start with a really gruesome murder to kick things off. Then you get a ghost who shows up demanding revenge. Our hero, wrestling with all this grief, starts to act crazy, maybe even goes mad for real. Then, and this is my favorite part, he puts on a play inside the play to trap his enemies. And it all ends in an absolutely chaotic, bloody finale. Sound familiar? It should. But Kyd's real genius wasn't just the plot points. It was how deep he went into his character's head. He basically popularized the soliloquy, giving us a direct window into Hieronymo's mind. It's that moment where the hero is alone on stage, speaking his darkest, most private thoughts right to the audience. This created this incredible emotional connection that, when you mix it with all the suspense, was just electric. It was totally new. But here's the thing. Kyd wasn't a one-trick pony. Not at all. I mean, yeah, the Spanish tragedy is what made him famous, but he was a really versatile writer. He explored all sorts of different themes, which shows us that his talent went way beyond just revenge.
Just look at his range here. On one hand, you've got the vengeance and madness of the Spanish tragedy. But then he also wrote Cornelia, which is this formal, classical tragedy all about Roman politics and family loyalty, with a really strong woman at its center. And we even have records showing he wrote a comedy called The Householder. It's lost now, sadly. But the point is, the guy we think of for all the blood and guts could do so much more.
Okay, so let's bring this all back to where we started. We've seen Kyd's blueprint for revenge. Now let's look at the enduring echo of his work, specifically how it shows up in the plays of the most famous playwright in history, William Shakespeare. The connection here is it's undeniable. Seriously, look at this. A ghost demanding vengeance? That's Hamlet. A hero who pretends to be crazy to get what he wants? Hamlet again. The brilliant use of a play within a play to expose the killer, that's the climax of Hamlet. Even one of Shakespeare's earliest and most violent plays, Titus Andronicus, owes a huge, massive debt to Kyd's work. Shakespeare didn't just invent these ideas out of thin air. He was refining and perfecting a template that Thomas Kyd created first. So Kyd's legacy is just immense when you think about it. He was a master of the complicated plot, a true pioneer of psychological drama. By making the soliloquy a popular tool, he gave characters an inner life that audiences could really latch onto. He didn't just influence Shakespeare, he shaped the entire direction of English tragedy. He set the stage, literally, for everyone who came after him. And here's the really tragic part of this whole story. Kyd died young, only 35 years old. And because of that, a lot of his work, like that comedy, The Householder, is just gone, lost to time.
The incredible, massive influence we're talking about today comes from just a fraction of what he actually wrote. Just imagine what else he might have created.
So we'll end on this thought. In a way, Kyd himself is like a ghost in the history of theater. He's rarely seen, his name isn't up in lights, but his influence is absolutely everywhere. His innovations haunt the halls of drama, echoing through some of the greatest plays ever written. So you have to wonder, right? How different would the stage really be without the ghost of Thomas